Welcome to the Father Leo Show, where I'm dishing out faith, culture, and commentary. And in this episode, I am going to explain why I am opening up a restaurant. But before I do that, I just want to say, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment, and consider supporting us on our Patreon community, because there you not only get access to great content, but also some special perks, and you also help me and my team to continue to produce these episodes, which hopefully give you more than just information. It gives you formation. And if there's one place where formation occurs, it is at the dinner table. So let me explain the reason why I am opening up a restaurant, because it really is an expression of my faith. Many people already know that I'm the priest who is also a professional chef, and I combine faith and food in a theological way. I've written several books about a theology of food, and really a reminder that when we bring people around the dinner table, we are only extending what Jesus did for us whenever we come to Mass. And so as a result, I go around the country and around the world, either giving talks or cooking demonstrations, food lectures, as well as faith and food tours. Yes, I lead a lot of pilgrimages, and a lot of my pilgrimages are centered around the culture of food. So food and faith go hand in hand. During COVID, I actually acquired a food truck, and this food truck serves, I'm grateful to say, award-winning food. We were voted a few times the People's Choice Awards at different food truck events. So grateful for that. But it also was a mission in a way to hire people who are coming out of the prison system. So we were giving people a second chance or a helping hand, people coming out of disadvantaged communities. And on top of that, we also contribute to feeding the hungry and the poor in the Baltimore area. And so with the support of people from around the country, we were able to get this food truck, and it's going okay. It's only okay. It is hard work. It's a competitive place, and we're learning a lot, but I've learned one thing. If we don't grow this operation, it'll just die. People in business know that you can't just kind of maintain, because eventually it'll just start to decline. And that's kind of where we are after 3 years. If we don't grow, we will die. And here's why. Because the food truck world is a seasonal kind of thing, at least in the upper, in the mid-Atlantic, where it snows and we have terrible weather. If it rains, you don't work. If you don't work, you don't eat. In the wintertime, people aren't doing food truck events. And on top of that, I just have a terrible business model. I'm just going to explain it. I'll admit, I keep my staff employed throughout the entire year. And even when we don't have food truck events, I keep them employed, and I use my product and give it away for free to help the hungry and the poor in the area. Again, terrible business model. I get it. But it is a mission, and I'm trying to keep people employed. And even when we don't have any events, we still use our product and feed the hungry who are in need. And so, guess what? We were at that stage where I have to consider, if we're not making any money, I'm making enough to pay our staff. I get nothing from this operation whatsoever. I contribute a lot of my time and energy to keep the food truck going, but it cannot sustain that way. And so by chance, we were looking for a commissary that can accommodate our growing needs. And so we moved out of what was the commissary at a soup kitchen called the Franciscan Center, a great group of people, and I loved collaborating with them, but we needed kind of our own space. And it's through a couple connections that I met the owner of a beautiful restaurant space, and he allowed us to rent the commissary, which just happens to be connected to an incredibly beautiful kitchen. And so he kind of has given us a chance, and we have got to take it. So that's the history of this. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain what this is going to do, hopefully, to impact the culture, how food and culture and faith go hand in hand. So we're opening up this restaurant. It's going to be called the Gastro Social. You've heard of gastropubs. The word gastronomy is simply the word to describe food and the study of food. And so the Gastro Social is exactly what it is. It's a gastronomy social space, and it's going to be located right in the heart of downtown Baltimore in this iconic neighborhood of Little Italy. Now, the kind of food that we're going to be serving is going to be an extension of what we do at our food truck. A lot of people don't know what our food truck food is, so it's called International Comfort Food Flavors. And the products that we currently have are gourmet quesadillas, fusion noodle stir fries, and very heart healthy and delicious salads. And you choose then, your next step is choose your protein or your mains, which is beef, chicken, shrimp, or roasted vegetables. And I'm proud to say our beef and our chicken are sous vide. And what makes it international, so by the way, sous vide is a cooking technique vacuum packed and then immersed in a constant low temperature of water over a long period of time, which makes it incredibly tender and flavorful. So just think of slow roasting something, and it makes it honestly really incredibly tender and delicious. What makes it international is that you choose 5 sauces. So you can go Asian Island Barbecue USA, Creamy Parisian, a Latin Chimi Fresca, or an Italian Seaside. And yes, I make I'm the creator of all those sauces. For about a year, I made all the sauces until we went to a co-packing company, and now they produce the sauces for us, which, by the way, I don't know if there's any left. You can still buy them and on our online and at our food truck. So it's really good food, but it's not normal food truck food. It's pretty high end and pretty high quality food. But the food itself at the Gastro Social will also include some choice wraps as well as some rice bowls. And since we're in Little Italy, we're going to expand on our Italian line. And so you'll be able to get some penne pasta, and you could use either our Italian Seaside, or you can get a matriciana, a bolognese, or a type of a ragu, or a fra diavolo. So there's just a lot of unique things that we can do, and it's a really smart menu. So there's a lot of variety, even though there's kind of limited product. And the reason why this is a big deal in the culture is because Little Italy needs some new life. The area itself in Baltimore was really affected by some of the riots and in Baltimore that occurred. That the city itself needs a lot of new life, and so this is just one little space, but I'm grateful that the majority of people in Little Italy and Baltimore are excited to have a new restaurant open, because a neighborhood is only as good as the homes and the families and the businesses that are there. So, we're doing what we can. This restaurant is certainly helping me out with the food truck, and I hope to contribute back to the neighborhood. Because let's admit something. This is a Little Italy neighborhood. Guess what the center of this place was? It was the Catholic Church. And by the way, the Catholic Church is named St. Leo the Great. I'm just saying. And so this whole Little Italy neighborhood was not only a bastion and the epicenter for the Italian culture, it was also the epicenter for the Catholic culture, because all of the Italian immigrants were Catholic. And so there really is a strong connection to faith and food. And if we separate this, then we've got problems. So being able to go and use this space in Little Italy is a huge sign from God in a way. And we're calling it the Gastro Social because we want to make a social space and use this not only as a select dining time restaurant space, but we also want to use it to provide cooking classes and wine tastings and private dinner events where we have pop-ups. We want to invite different chefs who might want to come and showcase their food and talk about their food and do some demos. We'd love to have you. And so this is really going to be a collaborative food space. And so it's kind of exciting that we're doing something like this, because if we didn't use this building, what would it have been used for? Another restaurant, but without perhaps a religious or spiritual meaning. So we're hoping to really, again, promote the Catholic faith through the food culture. Now, people will ask, are you going to like have overt religious themes there? No, because the food culture is implicitly religious. Will we have religious dinners there? Of course. Like, for example, on the Feast of Saint Therese of Lisieux, we hope to have an edible flowers kind of dinner. That's kind of like my brainchild. Things like that. And the reason why this is so necessary for culture is because culture is looking for God, whether they know it or not. And here's where I get a lot of inspiration from St. Teresa of Avila, who was a doctor of the church. She said, if you want to find God, look for God amidst the pots and the pans. This is key to improving culture. So now I want to just share with you some commentary about some of the things that I've experienced in opening up a restaurant. So this commentary is really going to be about how this is just crazy. Everyone says that the hardest thing to start up in terms of a business is a restaurant, especially in a time when our food prices are just literally almost double and in some cases triple. I mean, I hate to say it, Bidenomics ain't working at all for small businesses. It might work for government because, like, you know, government employees are just locked and loaded forever, and you see their efficiency by just simply going to like a motor vehicle administrative office. It's not good. But I can say that from a commentary point of view, while this is really one of the craziest things that I have ever done, it's also been incredibly fulfilling, because it gives me a chance to, again, with a brick and mortar, find stability for my staff. And out of the woodworks, I will just say, like, out of the woodworks, God has really blessed me. I'm going to give you an example. I was really looking for a good staff person who can manage the place, kind of like a general manager. And the owner of the building, who's just a very fantastic man, had a former employee when he had the restaurant. It was a Persian restaurant at one point, a beautiful, beautiful restaurant. But he had a former employee reach out to him and say, hey, do you know anything about food trucks? And so he's like, I don't know, but I know someone who does know. So the owner of the restaurant directed this young man back to me. And I made an appointment to meet with him. And I just realized that this guy is very talented. He was an Iranian refugee. He lived in Turkey for months as a homeless young man. He was 16 years old. He comes to America because he finally gets a visa, and he works in this restaurant. And then he studies pharmacy to become a pharmacist, and he helped grow pharmaceutical companies. But he was disillusioned by this kind of work, and he just asked himself, where do I feel happy? And he found it was actually in the restaurant industry. So he was considering starting up a food truck, asked the owner of the building about food trucks. That guy directed him to me. His name is Sam. And so Sam and I are talking, and just from the moment I met him, my chef and myself, we were just kind of very impressed with this young man. And I just said, you know, I'd like for you to consider working with us. And then I asked him, do you pray? I mean, like, because I'm a priest, I'm allowed to ask that kind of stuff. And he goes, he's a young man. So he's like, yeah, I pray. I said, well, I need you to pray about this. And by the way, Sam, what is your name in Farsi? And he said, it's Sajjad. And I said, okay, does Sajjad mean anything? And he goes, kind of shocked. He says, yeah, it actually means someone who prays or talks to God. That's just like mind-blowing. You know, my chefs, the chefs that I'm working with right now, it's not a full-time person, but But he started working with us because of hearing about the work that I do with Faith and Food and our nonprofit group, the Table Foundation. And it's just by chance that we're working with another great chef who's going to be working with us throughout the summer because of the work that we're doing. You know, this brings good and faith-filled people together. And that's why I want to extend an invitation to you. If you're in the Baltimore area, please consider finding us, the Gastro Social in downtown Little Italy. I'm going to tell you now that we are going to have a soft launch, a soft opening on July 4th and 5th and 6th weekend. We're going to be open from like 11 to about 8 o'clock, and we're going to offer a lot of special deals so that you can come in and help us to learn about our food and how you are experiencing it, as well as our service. And it's going to be crazy because we hope to open up, like I said, select dining times. But I also want to reach out to you, and this is my commentary. Stuff like this can't happen on my own. I mean, I don't have like the financial backing. So if you want to support us, please consider doing so. We've got like a GoFundMe campaign going. We want to try to get a good stable amount of money that's going to sustain us for a year so that I can pay my staff and also to help kind of compensate for all of the inflationary costs. But also consider coming to eat at our restaurant. Also consider partnering with us in any way. If you are in the food industry and want to, I don't know, do something at the restaurant, we'd love to have you. Maybe sponsor a dinner. If you're like if you're like a distributor or a wine person or a beer person, or if you have a culinary point of view, if you're a chef, or if you want to have like a pop-up and try out what it's like to cook in a real restaurant and invite your friends, please consider collaborating with us. I'm literally saying that if you care about food, be a part of what we do, and I guarantee you, you will be fed body, mind, and soul. So I just wanted to share this good news with you because our soft launch and our soft opening is going to be coming very soon. Please consider being a part of it all, if not to taste our food or to partner with us in one way or the other. And please keep us in your prayers. The Gastro Social and my entire team, we need to talk to God about this because God wants to fill our hungers. And especially in the Little Italy area, we're hungering for God. And with the prayers of St. Leo the Great, he's hopefully going to help make this very mediocre Leo at least effective in helping to feed people body, mind, and spirit. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little update on my life and all the work that I'm doing. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and consider supporting us on our Patreon community so that I can continue to dish out faith, culture, and commentary. And I hope with the new restaurant, the Gastro Social, you will stay hungry for God.